Earlier this year, the National Gallery in London unveiled this painting as its latest acquisition. The news went viral, not only because they paid over $20 million for a work by an unknown artist, but because it features something no one expected to see in a religious scene. A strange creature, shaped like a dragon, at the feet of the Virgin Mary. For centuries, no one truly understood its meaning. Many believed it was just the painter's fantasy, until a more recent symbolic analysis revealed that nothing in this image is there by accident. Today we're going to uncover what this scene really represents, who the surrounding figures are, and why a dragon plays such an important role in a sacred painting. The first thing we need to understand is that in this curious scene, the Virgin and the child Jesus are seated on a majestic throne. Both convey a sense of distant serenity, almost regal, with soft and delicate features faithful to the Flemish painting style of the time. That same delicacy can be seen in the strands of hair that gently fall over Mary's chest. Representations of the enthroned Virgin and child like this one have existed at least since the 12th century, when the growing devotion to Mary as the Queen of Heaven inspired the creation of images depicting her on a golden throne, known as the Throne of Wisdom. Here, that throne is framed by a luxurious embroidered cloth of honor. As in many works meant to portray Mary as a noble and untouchable queen, she is accompanied by saints who seem to form part of her celestial court. This type of composition is known as Sacra Conversazione, or Sacred Conversation in English. In the painting, Mary holds a white four-petaled flower, a symbol often interpreted as an allusion to the idea that she represents a fourth member of the Holy Trinity, alongside the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Meanwhile, the child Jesus holds a small goldfinch, a bird that represents his future crucifixion. According to tradition, when Christ carried the cross, a goldfinch landed on his crown of thorns and tried to pull one out. In the attempt, a drop of Christ's blood stained the bird's head, giving it its distinctive red mark and turning it into a symbol of sacrifice and redemption. Even the wooden steps on which the Virgin's throne rests allude to the Passion of Christ. The simple wood and visible nails recall those of the cross, thus foreshadowing the sacrifice that will define the child's destiny. To the left of the throne stands an angel dressed in blue, holding his hands near his mouth in a rather curious posture. Whatever he is doing seems to have captured the attention of the Christ child, who observes him with genuine curiosity. If we look closely, we can see that the angel is playing a jaw harp, also known as a Jew's harp or mouth harp, a small metal instrument that vibrates when pressed against the teeth while a flexible reed is plucked. That quick movement explains why the angel's index finger is raised. He is in the very act of producing sound. Christ, fascinated, appears to listen intently to the peculiar tone emanating from the mouth of the celestial musician. Although this instrument may seem like a strange choice for an angel, it is not as unusual as it might appear. In many medieval paintings and sculptures, angels are depicted playing the same device, perhaps because it was an instrument accessible to everyone, both rich and poor. In front of the musical angel, another angel holds a songbook. Within it, we can read the Marian hymn, "Hail, Queen of Heaven, Hail, Lady of the Angels," which likely accompanies the melody of the first. Above them, a series of columns ends in capitals carved with various figures. These sculptures depict scenes from the Old Testament, such as the grapes of Canaan and the drunkenness of Noah, adding a narrative and symbolic layer to the upper part of the composition. And then we arrive at the woman emerging from the golden shell of the beast, St. Margaret of Antioch. If you look closely, you'll notice a dove resting on her left shoulder. It is depicted with astonishing realism for a heavenly creature. According to the Golden Legend, a medieval collection of stories about the lives of the saints, Margaret was miraculously crowned by a bird that descended from heaven. In this painting, however, her crown is not made of gold, but of a simple garland of daisies, perhaps an allusion to the French name of the flower, Marguerite. Another legend surrounding Saint Margaret tells that she was confronted by Satan, who took the form of a dragon and devoured her. That might explain the creature before us. In some versions, the monster swallows her whole, but she traces the sign of the cross from within, and the dragon splits open, releasing her unharmed. In others, the crucifix she carries irritates the beast's insides until it spits her out. Either way, it is a symbolic rebirth, a true resurrection that made Margaret one of the most emblematic saints in Christianity. Seen in this light, the dragon's expression, with its mouth open and drool dripping, is not one of fury, but of defeat. Its head is crowned with spines and spikes resembling those of a fish or a fantastic lizard. Its gaping jaw, framed by delicate whiskers, sinks beneath sad, tearful eyes, and its body, covered in meticulously painted scales, gleams with an eerie beauty. Finally, its reptilian wings spread with an almost gothic elegance. Without a doubt, we've seen many dragons in the history of art, but never one quite like this. Now, the question is, why would all these figures gather in a single scene like this? To understand the true purpose of the painting, we need to look at the man standing on the left. But before revealing his identity, I'd like to remind you that if you'd like to have this painting in your own collection, it's now available on our website. There, you'll find over 700 historical artworks to choose from, so you can collect your favorites and decorate your home with them. The video you're watching right now is an example of how you can turn your house into your own personal museum. Worldwide shipping is free, and by purchasing, you'll be supporting my work so I can continue creating videos like this one. I'll leave the link in the description below. Now, let's continue. The man we see on the left is Saint Louis. His serious face and realistic features suggest that the artist intended to portray him as an authentic likeness. Saint Louis, or Louis IX of France, ruled from 1226 until his death in 1270, and he is the only French monarch ever canonized. His reputation for devotion, justice, and piety made him the perfect model of the Christian king in the medieval imagination. In the painting, he wears around his neck a large metallic collar, the insignia of the French Royal Order of St. Michael. It consists of 12 golden scallop shells, symbols of pilgrimage, and a central medallion showing the Archangel Michael defeating the devil. His blue robe is embroidered with fleur-de-lis, the emblem of the French monarchy and, in religious terms, a symbol of purity and perfection. But what is a French king doing here? Louis IX was known for granting certain religious orders the privilege of using the fleur-de-lis on their coats of arms, an honor reserved for those closest to the crown. Among them were the Premonstratensians, an order of canons founded by Saint Norbert in 1120 in Prémontré, France. Over time, their influence spread across Europe, reaching Ghent in Belgium, where they founded the Abbey of Drongen, the very place where this painting was first recorded. Everything suggests that the work was commissioned by the Premonstratensians themselves, who deeply venerated St. Louis. Moreover, records show that in 1608 they consecrated an altar dedicated to the Virgin and St. Margaret, confirming their devotion to both figures. After all this analysis, it becomes quite clear why such a complex work ended up in a collection as prestigious as the National Gallery, and why they were willing to pay such an astonishing price for it. Nothing less than $20 million. Now, the real mystery lies in its author. According to the museum itself, it's attributed to an unknown Dutch or French artist, yet there's no record of who it might have been. In my opinion, the evidence points more toward a Dutch painter. The facial details remind me of artists like Jan van Eyck, and of course, that dark imagination required to paint a dragon like this one. I'd love to read your thoughts in the comments. And before anyone mentions it, yes, I also noticed the baby Jesus' head, but I'll leave the jokes to you in the comments. Thanks for watching until the end, and I'll see you in the next video.